Hey guys, it's Matt McNeil coming to you from the garage. You probably may be wondering why I sound like I am muffled. I am cleaning up the last of the 5 ordered Amy's. This one is actually number 25, which is the last one, finished one that I'm going to do. I do have a few blanks that are going to go out, but the reason I'm muffled is because I am cleaning them up. And the way that I am cleaning them up is with this guy right here. I think we talked about this once before, but I just figured we'd revisit this because I feel like I'm getting a little better at it. One of the sort of most tedious parts of making a mask is, in fact, cleaning up your blank. And as you can see, I've done this side. And what this is, actually, I should go back and talk about this for a second. This is a wood burner. And the amazingly talented Casey Love let me come over to his house and watch him clean up a blank using one of these. And I have to tell you, it's pretty amazing. You can do a lot of amazing cleanup work with this, but you can also do a lot of damage. So, it's one of those things that you should try to kind of baby step into, but I just wanted to show what I'm doing over here on this side. And this one's been particularly successful. So, as you know, when you cast a mask, you end up with a seam. This Amy mold ended up with a particularly, kind of thickish seam. This has been trimmed. And this, if we're going to talk about what's in my dirty underwear drawer, here it is. This is actually, that's the neck of it though. That's what goes around the bottom, but you end up with a lot of latex left over. And this Amy had about an inch all the way around, maybe a little more. Not the best sealing mold that I've made, but not a problem because of this, right? So this is extremely hot, really, really hot. And so what I'll first do is come in with a pair of scissors and I'll trim this seam up. And then I'll come in with this and clean it up. And what I try to do, you have to be very careful because it's really easy to gouge your mask. But what I like to try to do is to run this along that seam line underneath the flash that's left and flat with the latex. This particular head on this wood burning tool allows me to skim along and shave off very close to the neck, the latex. And then you could come in here, and because it's flat, it gives you the ability to come in here and just very carefully come in and even out all of this sort of flash area. Now, what it will also do, though, is as you go, it makes this nasty, noxious smoke, hence the reason that I'm wearing a respirator, and that's, again, why I sound muffled. Do I know that these fumes would kill me? I do not. I'm not a scientist, but I can tell you that based on the smell alone, I'm pretty sure I don't want to be breathing this. So, yeah. I'm going to tell you, wear a respirator, guys. What do you have to lose? So, as you can see, I'll come in here and clean this up a little bit. That's pretty doggone clean. Now, you'll end up with a little bit of a ash buildup, for which I take a metal brush. And I clean up that tip so that it's mostly black again. And then I'll come back in here. And you just got to be very careful. Take your time. Not gouge it out too much. extra little flash there. But if you can see that those of you that use a Dremel, which is what I used to do, Dremels are cool, but they kind of make a shrapnel mess. While this, where it melts the latex, creates a very like smooth, slick area. A nice little seam. You can't end up with like little bumps and divots. But what's nice is if you come back and you're patient, you can do a pretty good job of making that seam line mostly disappear. Now, when you're done with your blank, you're going to end up, oh, I'm sorry, you guys are looking at nothing. You're going to end up with a slippery, like brown streak on your blank here. But once you put down your base coat, that all will go away, and you'll end up with a very nice seam line. If you can see that little spot right there, where that thick seam, I mean, this seam was thick all the way down this line. And this tool allows me to really do a nice job of blending a seam line in, prepping it for paint, so that hopefully when somebody looks at it, even though you technically know, right, you know where the seam line is, you don't really see it. It doesn't cause your eye to gravitate towards that line and to undermine the, the effect that we're trying to get. Now, the other thing that this tool allows you to do, if you see, we got all of these little pimples. What's nice is this tool also allows you to come in here and just erase them. It's really nice. Sometimes you can just flick them off like that. Sometimes you just flatten them out. You know, and that's going to happen when you have an older mold. And when I say older, you know, we're talking about probably 25 or 30 pulls out of this mold. And that's one of the reasons I limit these. I'm not really interested in taxing out a mold and wearing it out to the point where it's just not worth the money to buy a copy of a mask from this mold, right? And so what it does is it puts me in the position of doing cleanup. And I'm happy to do it because every one of these Amy's that I make, quite frankly, I make for me. And they just happen to find their way into the mailbox. Yeah, I don't want an Amy to be on anybody's shelf that I wouldn't have on my own shelf. And so what that means is I'm going to take as long to clean it up as I would my own. I'm going to take as long to paint it as I would my own. And, you know, I find myself sometimes spending a week, you know, cleaning stuff up and painting stuff up, repainting. You know, it took a long time to sculpt this Amy. Why would I go out of my way to do a poor job finishing them? Now, the other thing that you can do, let me show you really quick, is when it comes to detail stuff, particularly around creases and whatnot, sometimes I like to come in here and I'll take this tool and I'll just sharpen some of these wrinkles, right? You can kind of use it. And there are other tools or tips that come with these machines. So, you know, sometimes I'll switch over. I have, and the kit that I bought has two different wands like this. And so I have this one, and then I have a second wand that has this tip on it, which is a nice little shovel tip. Also good for doing like wrinkles and detail, adding stuff back. When I end up cutting these eyes and this mouth out, I'll also burn the edges of those as well to smooth those out to facilitate the teeth and that kind of thing. Yeah, these are already gone. I got those already. Those are just kind of hanging out. So, and from day one, this mold has always had a pimple there. And what's nice is to be able to come in and just erase it. It's gone, which is brilliant. So there you go. Like I say, I think we've talked about this before, but it's a really, really cool way. Toxic, by the way, I think. Always on the err on the side of, yeah, this might kill me. So I have all the garage doors open, and I'm wearing a respirator, as you can hear. But it's a really cool way. And then what I'll do after this, I'll come back in with a brush and some naphtha, and I'll wash all this brown off. Then I'll take it inside, and I'll give it a little bath in the sink, just to kind of wash all that naphtha off, a little soapy water. And then before I paint her, I'll do a little citric acid wash to prep her face for paint. But anyway, hopefully that helps, and a reminder that it's a really cool way of cleaning these things up. And again, I want to give credit where credit is due. Casey Love was kind enough to give me this technique that I think he said he learned at Rick Baker's shop. And I don't know how you could get much better an endorsement for a technique than that, right? But it's nice because you can come back in and add a little bit of wrinkles, a little more detail work. And it's just really subtle. It doesn't scar it so much that it's like, oh my God, what have I done? But it just gives an extra little place for your washes to grab. Particularly the lips. I'll go back, and I always go back in and I redraw lip wrinkles with this. Because on these Amy's, I end up putting so much slobber on them that you lose a little of that lip definition, and I try to keep it going, you know, at least a little bit. So I'll come in here, and a little couple in there. Let's get that out. There we go. Well, you come in here and you just kind of redo these little lip wrinkles. And I know it looks a little ham-fisted now, but it's just kind of nice when you're painting to have something for your paint to grab onto. And I'm really only adding back what I'd sculpted in the first place. You have to be very careful because this is hot, hot, hot. All right. So again, I know that looks ridiculous here, but when you go and you paint it, it gives you a little something to for your paint to grab onto. And I'll come in here on the upper lip. Just give it a little more texture to what we're seeing. Because again, these are the kinds of little details that catch the light. And that's what we're doing here, isn't it? We're really kind of playing with light and shadow, kind of in a dimension. But, you know, where does the light hit? Where do the shadows fall? So any little crease in the sculpture is going to help catch the light and add a little detail. All right. And again, this is very, very hot. Very hot. If you dropped it on your leg or something like that, let me tell you, you probably will end up running into the house screaming. I have not done that, but I have had a bit of molten latex drop onto both my finger, right here, can you see that? And I had a drop fall on my leg. And let me tell you, that will get your attention. That will definitely get your attention. And then the other thing that this is good for, and I'll go back and I'll find out if there's, like, you know, any little pits, any little bubbles that I came through in the mold. This was a pretty great pour here. Nice blank. Not a lot of issues beyond these little pimples here, which, like I say, I'm just going to burn off. But if there are, like, I don't know if you can see this one here. Hold on, let's look. So you could put a little dab of latex in there, let it dry, and then you come back with this tool, and it does an amazing job of blending the edges of that little drop. So yeah, there you go. Pretty good. See, I missed. Oh no, that one's already loose. I got a little, you know, a couple of loose ones rolling around where we burned them off, and they're just kind of doing their own deal. And then sometimes I'll even go as far as, after I've burned all this stuff off and I've done my base coat, sometimes once you get your base coat done and you get a nice even color on this, you'll go, oh, look, there's one. And sometimes I'll even come in and I'll burn those off so that I have as smooth a coat, as smooth a skin as possible in regard to those little pimples. And then I'll repaint it. You know, I'll do another base coat. So, like, here you go. Here's a little pinhole here. You see this in the nose? So what I'll end up doing is I'll put a little dab of latex in there, maybe even with a syringe, so that I can get inside that hole, because you don't want to keep an air pocket. And I'll let it dry, and it'll dry raised just by a little bit. And then I'll smooth it out on the edges. So there you go. Anyway, I'm going to keep working on this one, but I thought that might be of interest again. I know I might have been a little bit MIA of late. And that's because I'm knee-deep in these Amy's, but soon it's going to be time for Alana to put on some clay, and we'll start something new. So anyway, there you go. Hopefully that helped you guys, and I'll talk to you later.